I spent a little time on the Google machine asking it some questions. I really enjoy my little Google machine. I got a few of them. Sometimes it's in the form of iPad or a laptop or a desktop or my phone, but Google just happens to be everywhere. It's weird. Everywhere I turn, there's Google. Hey, Google. And so I asked Google, I said, hey, tell me some things I don't know about Mother's Day. Now, I'm not trying to say that I know everything, but I'm just saying I've got moms. Got a couple of those moms that have stepped into my life. I've got a wife who's also a mother, right? And so I've been around for a lot of Mother's Day, so I know a lot of things about Mother's Day. So I wanted to know, what are the things that I don't know about Mother's Day? So it just so happens, if you type into your little Google machine, hey, tell me some interesting facts about Mother's Day, a lot of people have wondered the same question. And these people who write blogs have written them all down. And so you can go and read like 1,700 different people's things about what you don't know about Mother's Day. And I have done you the favor. I've read every single one of them, if you mean like the first 3 that show up on Google. And I've narrowed it down to the top 3 things that most people probably don't know, however, you should know about Mother's Day. And I'm going to bring them to you right now. I know you're just so excited. Here we go. Number 3 on the things you should know about Mother's Day. Here we go. Mother's Day is the 3rd most popular holiday in the world, behind only, anybody want to guess? Whoa. One person, raise your hand. I'm just kidding. I can't even see your hands. Shout it out. Say it louder. Christmas and Groundhog's Day? Wow, hey, I mean, sorry. For those of you who are online, I'm not going to name names, just, and I'm being really bad now, because as a teacher, we'll say there's no dumb answers, but it was now you're fine, you're perfect, this is great, this is good. It's not Groundhog's Day. Online, you can throw in the comments. I'm about to give you the answer, though. Anybody else want to guess? Easter. How about that? So when I look at that list, Christmas, Easter, Mother's Day, I think what the world is trying to tell us, maybe God's aligning the stars, that in terms of most important is Jesus, mothers. Right? I don't know if that's the way you see it, but that's the way, when I'm looking at things, like people like to celebrate Jesus, they like to celebrate Jesus, just in case. You can't give Jesus one spot, he's so important. So Jesus doubles up. And the very next thing is mothers. We'll take it. Number 2, second thing you need to know. Approximately 65% of all greeting card sales in each year in the U.S. occurs within 5 days prior to Mother's Day. How about that? I mean, let's be honest. Guys, how many of you were at Target yesterday? Was it just me? Was it just me? You know what I'm talking about? That's where I was. Of course, my kids, though, they've gotten their 9 and 7. Emerson actually turns 10 this week. How about it? I've almost raised a child for a decade. That's crazy to think. I actually let them pick out their own Mother's Days, and I usually let them pick out their own, but I'm standing there like with them. This time I said, hey, go to the card section and pick out the Mother's Day stuff, right? I had to go get Mama a pillow because she wanted a new pillow, one of them Casper pillows. You know what I'm talking about, them fancy pillows? You know? Anyway, that's beside the point. But I got one of them pillows, and so I was watching them pick it out and seeing if they were going to fight with each other. Plus, there was a crowd over there at the Mother's Day card. There's a bunch of dads and kids trying to figure this thing out. And so they were going through, and sure enough, they did it nice. Like, they showed each other's. It was a really fantastic experience. But our kids picked out their Mother's Day cards yesterday as well. Number 1 or number 3, whichever one you're doing, this is my favorite, and this is completely free. Here it comes. In what was former Yugoslavia, children would tie up their mothers on Mother's Day, and the only way she could be freed was to pay her children with candy and treats. How about that? Happy Mother's Day. So today, when we get out at the blue tent, for those of you who are in person, we have balls of twine and rope for you to take home for your Mother's Day gift. Tie her up, right? Hopefully she's got some Easter candy still laying around. I don't know. I'm not sure. Or you're not getting out of it. We're going to skip that. So what we really do have, we don't have balls of yarn or rope or anything like that. We do have something for mamas today. We got a photo booth outside. For those of you who are watching online, I don't know how we do a photo booth for those of you, but you still, hop in and make that happen. But for those of you both online and in person, we were trying to think through, hey, how do we do something special for mamas? And so obviously, clearly, if we got some budget issues going on because we've had like 1 billion chairs break this morning. For those of you who were here a couple weeks ago, you saw that there were white chairs in here. Well, those white chairs, evidently, they cost a little extra. So we found these on Facebook. For those of you who are watching at home, be thankful you're watching at home because your chair's not going to break today. However, those of you who are here, these are ticking time bombs, evidently. So be careful, be extremely careful. We're going to have new chairs next week. I'm telling you, I know. You think I'm kidding? I'm not kidding. We've had 3 just go whoosh. So if that happens, reach over, help your neighbor up, ask them not to sue us. Okay? That's it. So anyway, but we do have from moms, in addition to is keeping with the budget theme, is we did reach out to one of our favorite photographers. She's a mama herself. And we said, hey, we want to pay you to do 2 photo shoots for a lucky family. And so Krista Summers, you probably have heard of her work if you're from here locally. She's incredible. She goes to our church, her and Philip, and all of their boys, every single one of them. She's an incredible mom, but she's also an incredible photographer. And so we have hired her to do 2 photo shoots, one for the 9 o'clock winner, one for the 11, and you don't have to be in person to win. However, we are going to announce the winner on a chalkboard outside as soon as the gathering is out. And if you are online, then we will FaceTime you or text you. We're going to let you know that you won, just in case you're not happen to be here. But let me tell you how you enter it. It's pretty simple. You text the word MOMMA, MOMMA, to 678-661-6330, and you have to do it during the gathering. In fact, you probably need to do it right now. So if you got a phone, I would pull it out because we're going to announce the winner as soon as the gathering lets out. So if you're a mom, you want to text the word MAMA to 678-661-6330. Now, our staff had a debate on how to spell mama because some people were like, hey, it's M-A-M-A. And I was like, no, it can't be that because when you say mommy, it's M-O-M-M-Y, and you just take the Y off and you put a from mama, so it's M-O-M-M-A. I have no idea who's right. However, I ended up being the one who gets to tell you what to text. So it's M-O-M-M-A to 678-661-6330. Anyone else need the number again? Yes? 678-661-6330. Just the word mama. Nothing else. Just mama. You got it? Cool. I want to tell you a story about a mama. M-O-M-M-A, mama. However, the more I thought about it, I said, you know what? I just want to read it to you. It's an incredible moment in the life of Jesus with his mother. And I think, while I like to retell stories, I think this one in particular, I just want to read to you. There's a guy by the name of John. John is one of Jesus' closest friends. In fact, when we go to the end of Jesus' life, Jesus is hanging on the cross, and he looks out, and he sees his mother standing next to this John that we're talking about. And he looks at his mother, and he says, Mom, behold your son, son, behold your mother. And it's this moment of, hey, I'm about to be done here. I'm about to pass away. And so I'm making a connection of responsibility between the two. So this guy writes a book that talks a lot about Jesus. And he chronicles this one particular moment. And I'm going to read it to you in John chapter 2. It's just a couple of verses, but you'll see how the story unfolds. Here we go. On the 3rd day, a wedding took place in Cana in Galilee. And Jesus' mother was there, and Jesus and his disciples had also been invited to the wedding. When the wine was gone, Jesus' mother said to him, they have no more wine. Woman, why do you involve me? Jesus replied. My hour has not yet come. His mother said to the servants, do whatever he tells you. Nearby stood 6 water jars, the kind used by the Jews for ceremonially washing, each holding from 20 to 30 gallons. Jesus said to the servants, fill the jars with water. So they filled them to the brim. He told them, now draw some out and take it to the master of the banquet. They did so, and the master of the banquet tasted the water that had been turned into wine. He did not realize where it had come from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew. Then he called the bridegroom aside and said, everyone brings out the choice wine first and the cheaper wine after guests have had too much to drink. But you have saved the best till now. What Jesus did there in Cana of Galilee was the first of the signs through which he revealed his glory, and his disciples believed in him. So Jesus is at a wedding with his friends and his mother. And his mother sees something that happens. She sees a need begin to arise. There's this social issue that has been created where they've run out of wine. And that's a no-no at social functions, especially in the first century in this particular Jewish community. She sees what's happening. She knows that there's about to be some shame and some angst and some embarrassment on the family hosting this wedding feast. And so she goes to Jesus and says, hey, they're about to run out of wine. Jesus, being a part of this culture, knows that's not good. She doesn't have to explain to him why that's not good, because he knows he's a part of this community. And so he listens to his mom, and his first reaction is, why are you involving me? Why do I need to know this? Why are you asking me or telling me about this need? Well, she doesn't spend any time answering that question. She immediately turns to the folks, the staff that's putting on this banquet, the folks that are refilling all the food, that kind of stuff. And she turns to them and she says, hey, whatever he asked you to do, would you just please do it? And so then Jesus is like, okay, well, you see those water things over there? Go fill them up. And then take a little dip out of it, take it to your boss, let him taste it. He tastes it, and he's like, man, this is good. Usually, the bride and groom save the best, or put the best out first and save the worst for last, but this is flip-flop. So he goes to the bridegroom and says, hey, man, you've been holding out on me. This is fantastic. Jesus performs his first miracle at a wedding with his mom and a bunch of friends. He turns water into wine. And that seems really odd to me. Does that sound strange to you? Like, of all the things we've ever heard Jesus do, a wedding, water into wine. There's a few things I want to make sure we try and pull from this little tiny passage in John chapter 2. The first thing is that his mother, Mary, simply raises awareness to the need. Are you picking up on what I'm putting down? Mary sees a need in her immediate community, and her first response is, I need to make sure Jesus is aware of this. Now, in the story, it doesn't have as far-reaching implications, but when we take it then into our world today, moms, let me ask you a question. When you see a need arise in your family, is your first reaction, I need to make sure Jesus is aware of this? Before anything else, before trying to figure out, can I solve this problem? Do I have the resources to fix it? Like, what do I do? That her first reaction was, oh goodness, I see an issue, I see a need, I see a moment that this thing needs to be solved. What am I going to do? I need to tell Jesus. And I think that's brilliant. I think that gives us some fairly incredible insight into maybe what it looks like to be an incredible mother. That first thought was, could I raise the awareness of Jesus? What was the result? Well, a miracle, the first miracle. But beyond the miracle, it was an opportunity for others to see the goodness of God. Those guys had to go and fill up the water jars, and they took it out, and those folks they didn't know who Jesus was. They didn't know what Jesus' mission was. None of that had even started yet, right? None of that even started yet. All of a sudden, they're invited into the story. Mary, his mother, sees a need, brings it to Jesus first, and then because of that, Jesus then invites other people into the story that he's writing in their lives. Man, that's an incredible moment from a mother who's got her head on straight. I see a need. Let me first take it to Jesus. I think one way to summarize this before I get into some sticky pieces is this. When we meet needs, we create opportunities for those in need to meet Jesus. When we meet needs, we create opportunities for those in need to meet Jesus. Now, our church has a philosophy that we should be following Jesus, and we take it to the degree of Jesus himself said, hey, of anyone else, I've got a pretty good resume. I'm the Son of God. I was the agent that created everything. I was the catalyst behind that. So when it comes to people deserving to be served, he's kind of like, he takes the cake and all the things with it. But he specifically says, I didn't come so that I could be served, but I came so that I could serve And then on top of that, and give my life as a ransom for many, right? So our church takes that as if we want to follow Jesus, then we need to say the same thing, that we don't show up in our community to be served as a church, but to serve, that our life is given in service so that we have the opportunity to awaken people to the person that has led us into the serving posture. Now, some folks are not pumped about that. In fact, I've gotten a good bit of criticism. For instance, one person recently said that we talk more about serving the community, that we do more serving in the community than we ever talk about Jesus. And I think that criticism is accurate. That we do. And that is what I hope. Because I firmly believe that talk is cheap. And over the last 50 years, the church has done a lot of talking and very little doing when it comes globally. And right now, the millennial generation and Generation Z is having no more of it. By the millions, they are walking away from faith because they realize, why would I give half of my off days to a Sunday morning experience that has nothing to do with what I do the rest of the week? Why would I go invest in something that all they want to do is talk about? People have said we're the fun church. That doesn't bother me at all. People have said we would rather give them ice cream than Jesus. And I love when I get to have a face-to-face conversation with them. To say, no, we just found a secret. We found that when we meet needs, we create opportunities for those in need to meet Jesus. And I firmly believe in that statement. When we meet needs, we create opportunities for those in need to meet Jesus. Now, that's a pretty good lesson for us to learn. However, there is a deeper spiritual lesson that I need to make sure I bring our attention to. This is going to be uncomfortable, and so I'm just letting you know, lean in with me a little bit, take a little bit of the angst off, but I'm about to go there. Here we come. It's just going to happen. We got to do it. Specifically, fellas, I need you to lean in. Don't avert your eyes. You might, just warning you what's about to come, but here we go. If you get nothing else out of today, if you get nothing else out of the next few weeks, this might be valuable for you. I'll let you decide. Here it is, the most spiritual lesson in this entire thing. Here it comes. Even Jesus had to go to weddings. That's right, fellas. Even Jesus had to go to weddings. However, I'm pretty sure it wasn't during college football season. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like if you're thinking about getting married, just think the fall is pretty. But the fall also has college football. Georgia, Florida weekend, stay away from it. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to invite me, come on, stay away from it. Or have TVs, one of the two. You know what I'm saying? No, I think when we take a look at this, we want to make sure if we really want to dig the best truth out, we probably ought to look into a little bit of historical context to understand exactly what's happening in these moments. For a Jewish wedding, there's really three stages of it. The first one is the ceremony and this big feast that happens. We see that today in weddings that we would have, right? You get married, have a ceremony, and immediately there's this reception and DJ, those kind of things. And so that's what they're having. They're having the big feast. And then following that, there's like a parade or a processional, and it happens at night. And so if you can imagine wherever the venue would be for the wedding, like wherever it is, so let's say it's right here, and there'd be this processional to their house, to the groom's house. Or if the groom didn't have a house and they lived on a larger family-type compound, it would be to their father's house. Wherever the groom was residing, that's where it would go. And so there'd be this processional from a place of the wedding and the place of the feast to the house. And they would invite everyone to be a part of this processional. In fact, they wanted everyone to be a part of it so much that they would draw a map and they would take the longest route to get from point A to point B. It was not a short, let's get there and get quick. Like none of that was happening. It was we want as many people as possible to participate in the celebration of what's happening between this husband and wife. And so that's what we do. And the people would have lanterns. And even if you weren't invited to the wedding, you got in on the procession. As it came by, they just went around this whole, and everybody would go and celebrate, right? And then after that, after they got to the house, it would start a week-long celebration, this open house, where every single day the bride and groom would wear their wedding clothes. Every day. That's what they did for an entire week. So this was a big deal. You know what I'm saying? And so the question becomes, why here? Like, for Jesus' first miracle, why at a wedding? For Jesus' first miracle, why water to wine? For Jesus' first miracle, like of all the things, let's just think. Even if you're not a church person, you've probably thought of some miracles that you've heard of that Jesus allegedly did, right? That he helped people who couldn't walk, who were lame, to get up. That he helped people who were blind to see. That he cured people of leprosy. That he resurrected from the dead, right? That the list goes on of all the things he's done. And then you've got this little teeny tiny story in John chapter 2, where he takes some water jugs and he turns the water jugs into wine at a wedding. And it just doesn't seem like it goes together. It just doesn't seem like it matches. So my question is, why? So I've come up with two reasons that I think give us a pretty decent indication into what exactly was happening. Reason number one, and I think it's probably the most obvious, is that his mother was a catalyst in his life. You know, it's hard to say what would happen if Jesus ever turns water into wine had his mother not asked him to fix the situation. We don't know. But for sure what we do know is that Jesus responds to his mother's request. And he had no intention. In fact, even after his mother's request, he lets her know, why are you involving me in this? You know, why are you bringing this to me? You know, why are you putting this on me to do anything about it, right? And I wonder if you recognize, if you are a mother or if you fill the role of a mother in someone's life, right? Which I have plenty of people, and one in particular, that did not give birth to me. However, hardcore fills the role of mother in my life. So either way, I wonder if that weight rests with you of just how much of an enormous catalyst you can be in the lives of your children. It was just one simple phrase. Jesus, they're out of wine. She didn't even ask him to fix it. She didn't say, will you please get to work on this? And it's because evidently she had a relationship with him, that it wasn't this long conversation, that Jesus somehow knew that if his mother brought a request to him or raised his attention to a need, that it didn't need to be much more of a discussion. It was just her heart, I can trust her heart. And she's now told me about this need, and she must actually trust me with the need that she has seen. Or she must think that I have the ability to do something about this. And he's wondering why. It's like, I don't know why. And honestly, moms, do you realize what's happening here? Mary, his mother, is having an I'm proud of you moment even before he's done anything to be proud of. She recognizes the need, and she's like, you know what? I don't know what to do, but I know someone who does. Jesus, they're out of wine. And she's already proud of what he will do before he's done anything. Now, here's the thing. We might be thinking, well, of course, his mom knew that she was asking for a miracle. Well, I don't know. The Bible says that he had never done this before. And so I would say we should trust it. Now, I don't know if it's like The Incredibles where Jack, they're trying to hide the powers. Like, Jack, you got to chill with this. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that's what Jesus is doing in his house when he's growing up, but I don't think so. I think she honestly looked at Jesus and was like, hey, I don't know how you're going to fix this, but I believe you. If anyone here can fix it, I think you can fix it. And so he jumps in to do that. That's a pretty decent relationship, I'd say. And honestly, don't we all want that? Whether we're a mother or not, don't we all want that kind of weight to come with our words? That a simple phrase expresses, I'm so proud of you because I know you can accomplish the task I've set before you. and that I trust you with things that are important to me because I know that you are trustworthy. Don't we all want to have that opportunity to speak into someone else's life and just say, you know, I know when I bring this to them that they're going to do well with it? You know, I think the second piece, in addition to his mom being a catalyst, I think it's just the simplicity of celebration and community was on the mind of Jesus. I think this gives us some insight into the humanity of Jesus. I think if you write it up, you write this storybook, maybe there's this much larger grand entrance into the miracle world that is Jesus. But instead, his first miracle helps erase some shame from a social function. It erases some embarrassment in a tight-knit community where everyone knows everyone, where he steps in to someone else's deficiency to say, I have plenty, where he allows a relationship to get started not on an argument about, I thought I told you to order more wine, but you didn't. And maybe the argument was, well, I was trying to save us money. Not on our wedding day, we don't save money, right? Isn't that the story? And he was just saying, I can help them avoid that. Maybe he just believed in a healthy marriage and the start to what that needed to be. I don't know, but what we do know for sure is that it's inescapable that the actions Jesus took had an enormously positive impact on the social dynamic currently in front of him. I think if we want to be really practical with this, fellas, let me talk real talk with you. I think we've just got to be easier to celebrate with. And guys, I'm being serious. I think we just need to be easier to celebrate with. And maybe it's just me, but I find the women in my life, they enjoy celebrating more than I do. They enjoy capturing a picture or an image of a moment more than I do. And oftentimes, I'm a little reluctant to do so, and I think that's probably wrong. I think even if it is an inconvenience for me to stand and take this picture, to get up from watching the game, even though it's the third quarter, and they're back and forth, there's still a quarter to go, I can go take the picture and come back, right? And I think, fellows, we've just got to be honest. Jesus was in a moment, and surely his first response was, why are you asking me? But at the end of the day, Jesus said, no, I got to be all in on celebration and community. And I think as a husband and as a father and as just a community member, I think that's a lesson I can learn from this moment. Mom asked me to take a picture. I need to get up and take a picture. When she asked me to smile and use my teeth, I need to smile and use my teeth. You know? I can be more agreeable. And not just on Mother's Day. And we're going to give you a chance. There's a photo booth set up outside, and all of you guys are going to be asked probably to take a picture, and you're going to say no. And then she's going to say, do you remember what Pastor said? And then she's going to shame you in front of everyone. So go ahead and get your yes ready, you know? You know, there's things moms say. As we're wrapping up, I want to give you kind of a top 10 list of my personal favorites of things that I think are incredible that moms say that are just life-altering. You ready for this? Number 10. Eat your carrots, they'll make you see in the dark. Number 9. I'm not asking, I'm telling. Anybody heard that today? You don't have to raise your hand, it's fine. Number 8. Stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about. Ain't that the truth? Number 7, I brought you into this world and I can take you out. That's a good one. Number 6, you better wipe that look off your face. Number 5, quiet down, I can't even hear myself think. I've heard that one. Number 4, I just snorted. Oh, man. If you keep making that face, it'll freeze that way. Number 3 is triple whammy. You get bonus here. You ready? Because there's 3 different versions of this. Number 3, don't make me tell you again. Don't make me come back there. Don't make me turn this car around. Number 2, When you pay the bills, you can do whatever you want. Number one, is this poop or chocolate? I ain't never had no green chocolate, mama. It's Godiva, special. It's got almonds in it. Sorry. I'm sorry. Well, there's the line. I passed it. My bad. I'm going back. My bad. Did you catch the real number one? I read it to you in the story. Probably the greatest thing a mother has ever said. Did you catch it? I'll go back and read you verse 5. Greatest thing a mom's ever said. And his mother said to the servants, do whatever he tells you. Do whatever Jesus tells you to do. It's the wisest thing a mom has ever said. It tells us a few things about that mom. First, it tells us that mom trusts Jesus. And if you're a mom in here today and you don't trust Jesus, that's my prayer for you. Second thing, and this is probably even more difficult, that mom trusts Jesus more than she trusts herself. Mary could have just started to work the problem, but instead she said, let me raise the awareness of Jesus about this problem. And now that he's aware, just do whatever he says. Number 3 thing it tells us about that mom is that mom might not actually have all the right answers. But just because mama doesn't have all the right answers doesn't mean mother doesn't know best. Especially when mother says, do whatever Jesus tells you to do. Now that's really difficult sometimes because for those of you who have kids that are getting ready to maybe go off to college and maybe you're thinking, I want them to stay a little closer, and maybe they're saying, no, I want to do something different. It's difficult for you to step in and say, at the end of the day, why don't we pray about it and do whatever Jesus tells us to do? Because maybe the mama heart says, even if Jesus says, go do something else, I'm going to trump Jesus this time. This one time, I got this one card. I'm going to do what Jesus said the whole time, but not on this one, right? That's a dangerous statement to make. Do whatever Jesus tells you to do. I guess my question, though, is that you? And if not, what would it take to get there? What would it take for you to trust Jesus more than you trust yourself? What would it take for you to trust the opinions and the mannerisms and the sacrifice of Jesus more than what you trust in yourself? What would it take for you to raise the problems or raise the awareness of Jesus to the problems in your life before you started to solve them on your own? What if you made a commitment, not just to tell your kids to do whatever Jesus told you to do, but if you actually did whatever Jesus told you to do? And what if we weren't just talking about moms? What if we were talking about everyone in this room and everyone watching online? Because at the end of the day, that's what a life following Jesus is all about. Just do what he asks you to do. Put yourself in the mind of that event staff. They don't know who Jesus is. This guy's sitting here with his friends, like hanging out at a wedding. Him and John, who knows who else is there, and they're just having a good time. And his mom comes over and is like, hey, they're out of wine. And he responds like, I think probably I would, why are you bringing this to me? What does this got to do with me? And she just turns around because she already knows I'm proud of what you're about to do. You don't know it, but I'm proud of you. And she tells the event staff, hey, whatever he tells you to do, just do it. And then he tells the event staff, he's like, okay, see those barrels of water over there? Go fill them up with water. After you fill them up with water, you take your little like ladle deal and just dip it in it and go let your boss taste it. That event staff, hold on, lady, you want us to trust him? He's telling us to fill up the jugs with water. We're not out of water. We're out of wine, woman. We're out of wine. It's like, just do what he tells you to do. And so sure enough, they fill it up with water, and they take their little ladle and they take it out. And they're like, it's funny looking water. And they take it over to their boss and they're like, hey, you should taste this. Sometimes Jesus tells us to do things that make no sense. But what was the result? So those who are around him, his disciples, because of that, because of their obedience to something that was nonsensical but still came from the mouth of Jesus, they believed. When we see an opportunity to meet a need, it creates an opportunity for those in need to meet Jesus. We should trust this mama. Do whatever Jesus tells you.